Good afternoon, friends, and happy Monday. I hope that you're having a lovely start to your work week. My name is Caesar, and this is Inspire a Movement. So today we're continuing with our segment entitled Word of the Day, and we're looking at the word connectomics. So connectomics, by definition, is the study of the connections in the nervous system. So connectomics is exploring how neuron cells in the brain, as well as your nervous system, are connecting with one another and how they're interacting with one another in order to produce behavior and cognition. This study is not only focusing on structural connections between the neurons, but also functional connections as well as communication between these regions. Now, first and foremost, what I'd like to start with is that there's no singular area of the brain that is tasked with complex function like language, emotion, and attention. Rather than, it's multiple regions of the brain that are involved in complex coordination. And these multiple regions of the brain are typically in non-adjacent areas of the brain. So these types of connections are extremely important to know about, and that's what we're referring to when we talk about brain networks. So again, cognition and function are not the responsibility of a singular area of the brain, but more so you can look at these functional areas of the brain, these functional connections, if you will, as parcels or possibly single nodes within a larger brain network. And this larger brain network is tied to processes, cognitive processes around vision and movement and internal thought. So this is the context within which connectomics falls in. So let's talk about how this all parlays with mental illness. So mental illness, from a quantitative perspective, we know that there's very little knowledge that we really have in terms of mental illness. And the underlying reason is that there's a tendency for mental illnesses to present themselves with disturbances of higher brain function, which you can't really pick out in a physical exam. So if you were to do an MRI or magnetic resonance imaging, you're not going to get to a diagnosis of a mental illness because the biomarker isn't structural. Meaning to say, you're not going to be able to have an image of the remnants of a stroke or possibly a brain tumor when it comes to diagnosing a mental illness. So it's very, very difficult from that perspective. When we talk about different types of mental illness, for example, with post-traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, in order to diagnose it, you have to be able to identify a whole bunch, for lack of a better word, of co-occurring disorders and symptoms at the same time in order to diagnose it. With depression, we know that it's actually multiple disorders happening all at once that exhibit similar symptoms. So in both of these instances, what we're looking for is mechanisms by which we can identify these mental illnesses properly to be able to get to address the root cause of the sickness in the brain. Now with connectomics, again, what we're talking about is that we have machine learning capabilities, and machine learning capabilities offer us new opportunities so that we can now begin to diagnose mental illnesses on the basis of patterns of brain network function and connectivity. For example, if you do fMRIs, you can basically look at brain connectivity patterns, and you can use these brain connectivity patterns and transform what is a psychological disorder into a data problem. And now with these same machine learning algorithms, if you will, you can now use this data, right, in order to be able to not only pinpoint certain symptoms associated to brain network dysregulation, but then be able to predict, basically, what is the severity of such symptom. So this offers all of us a tremendous amount of hope relative to mental illness going forward, which I hope when you hear these things, you feel the same sense of hope that there will be more tools in the toolkit for us to address the root cause of the sickness in the brain. Again, I hope that you enjoy these contents. Please tune into www.inspireamovement.com for more relevant content. And if there's something that you would like for us to research or opine in, please reach out to us. Believe me, we do this with a spirit of servitude for you. Again, peace and love to you all. Bye-bye.